every day we do a meet and greet, and we meet fans, and they tell us about a song that might have helped them or saved them. So I find that responsibility very important. And when I was 12 years old, my father passed away, and then I got moved to live with an aunt, and it was like super crappy, you know. Music totally was an escape for me, and I always think about that when I meet other people and they talk about how some of our music might have helped them, and I get that, you know. That's why I think it's really important what we do sometimes, you know.
Will we ever start anew? Wait to see.
If you could change one thing about the music business today, what would that be?
I would say the whole YouTube live video stuff. That's kind of gets on my nerves a little bit.
In what sense?
I don't know. It's because it's not really a representation of the show, and then you got kids and people, not kids. I mean, just people in general like this the whole time. You know, we don't say anything at the show. We're not making a big deal about it. But if I could change one thing, it'd probably be that.
Mm-hmm. You want people to be more engaged in the live show.
Yeah, I mean, just live in the moment, you know, instead of going like this. I don't mind if somebody takes a photo and that kind of thing, but you know, like I have a 15-year-old daughter. We'll go to a show, and I tell her, I don't want you taking your phone out. You could get a couple of pictures, but let's enjoy this, you know.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's why people don't buy records anymore, perhaps, because that experience of physically getting something is kind of gone to more digital.
The whole concept of that is, yeah, it's definitely changed. But on the flip note, like I said, I have a 15-year-old daughter. She's totally into vinyl. She's got the Beatles. She loves Louis Armstrong, AJR, you know, these different alternative bands, and so she's totally into vinyl, which is great. So there's hope. Yesterday I was at a music store in Montreal, and there was kids in there playing guitars, and you know, kids with their parents. I mean, little kids, and it was really inspiring to see that, because in the States, for example, you might go to a music store and it's like a ghost town. So I'm hoping that at some point that will come back. You know, like I have a couple of kids, and I'm really on top of them in terms of learning some kind of instrument, whether it be piano or guitar.
So
Yeah.
You were about 10 years into Camelot when the whole Napster situation happened. From your vantage point as a musician, what was it like experiencing the whole Napster saga unfold?
It was scary at first, because you know, everybody saw the decline of the physical sales, and I always was leery about it, because even if I wanted to download stuff, I wouldn't. But the whole virus thing back then, I don't know if you remember, or most people remember, you know, you go into a lot of these sites to download stuff illegally, and you get a virus, and when you could have just spent $10 and bought the record, you know. And now I think it's slowly sorting itself out. Record sales have definitely dropped, but we have fans that still buy physical. And I think that the whole streaming model is going to be something that eventually the artists will start getting more money from in a proper way.
I've heard people make the argument that although people getting music online has hurt direct sales for bands, it helps in terms of ticket sales for concerts. Is that accurate at all?
It's hard to say. I mean, the good thing about the concerts, and that's what I was mentioning earlier, was all the touring. You know, you can't really bootleg the live experience. You can, of course, watch videos on YouTube, but it's nothing like being there. So that's the good part for musicians, is that if you get to a certain level and you can do your own headliner shows or whatever, that you're going to be able to have a career, because that experience is you can't download that. Then of course you have the merchandise around it and that part of the business. So yeah, I don't really know if it's helped the live part. It's there's no way to really know, because we have no way to really compare it.
Mm-hmm.
But I would imagine it's not, any kind of promotion, awareness of a band is going to help you.
When you hear the term rock is dead, what does that mean to you? Does it have any relevance?
No, I think it's probably referring to the heyday of, the rock and roll with Aerosmith and Led Zeppelin and those bands being superstars, and that kind of era, I guess, is faded. But the rock genre is so diverse that, it's kind of been sparsed out. But you can see every day there are rock tours going around every part of the world. So when I hear that, it's more a subjective thing to the super, arena bands that we used to have back in the day. But in my opinion, I mean, we've been doing this for 15 plus years, and it's still growing. We've been doing it at a great level with great venues. So it's definitely not dead for me and the colleagues.
Do you think it would be possible for there to ever be another band at that scale, like let's say a Beatles or a Rolling Stones, or are those days past?
I mean, you could look at bands like Muse. I mean, they're massive, and they fit the rock genre. So I think there's always examples of that. Of course, the way the internet is sort of changed the whole music business, I think that is also a big factor of it,
Thank you all so very much!
There was a point in time when rock and roll was the popular music.
Yeah.
Do you think that it could ever get to the point where rock and roll's back on top of the charts, or is it going to always kind of stay still popular but not really in the main focus?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's all, cycles. I mean, if you listen to bands now, they remind me of bands from the 90s like Bastille and AJR, all these bands they're kind of alternative. The whole alternative scene is coming back, which we had back in the late 80s, 90s. And for the kids, they think that's something new. But when I hear Bastille, it reminds me of something I heard from U2 or something, So I think that, it's going to be like a kind of a cycle, maybe 15, 20-year cycle where you see music coming back, evolving, and certain genres coming on top and other ones taking their place.
What was it about rock music that drew you towards that sound during that time in your life?
How it is, like some kids that are kind of outsiders, they have to find a place for themselves. I think that was a place for me, that aggression too that I liked about it. The popular kids weren't really listening to that, so I didn't want to listen to what they liked. So I think I was gravitated to that sort of outsider type of music. I would say always be yourself, but obviously, if you want to be an entertainer, you have to step out sometimes of your comfort zone and maybe be a character. When I go on stage, I'm totally different than I am right now, I mean, I know that there's something about the energy of the crowd, and also I want to put on a great show. So it's almost like a alter ego, So I think you have to, there's a balance between that, being yourself and being true to your beliefs. I mean, that's also really important, like I said, with our lyrics. But also when you're on stage, you have to give 100% and give a show that people want to come back and see.
People still believe in the power of rock and roll music.
Hey, thanks for watching. My name is Daniel Sarkissian. I'm an independent filmmaker from Toronto.
I hate that guitar, but I can play that in one scale.
Don't you dare laugh.
I try to embrace the rock and roll spirit in the sense of I do everything self-funded and independently made with no oversight. As such, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for watching.